Hello and welcome. I'm Renita Calhorn, and I want to thank you for investing this time to learn about the 5 shifts you need to make to level up as a leader so you can build loyal, high-performing teams and scale your impact. Because I believe that to solve the big, complex problems we have in the world today, we're going to need leadership based in authenticity, emotional intelligence, and deep trust. All right, I know you have a lot going on, so let's dive in. This is for anyone who's expanding or scaling an organization. Startup founders, serial entrepreneurs, heads of new business units, project leads. You know you can't do it alone. You need teams that can learn, grow, and innovate quickly. And you know that people can be your greatest asset or your biggest problem. So if you're leading diverse teams in a competitive, high-growth environment and you're under extreme pressure to succeed, this presentation is for you. So I'm going to share how to be that extraordinary leader who's somehow able to attract and retain the best talent, even if you can't pay top dollar. What it takes to build respect and extreme ownership into the fabric of your team so they become this tight-knit tribe of A-plus performers who will walk through fire for you. I'm also going to share the key to developing authentic influence and bulletproof confidence so you can scale both your leadership and your business faster than you thought possible. I also want to share the 3 cognitive mistakes that you must stop making if you want to master your emotions, navigate tricky, difficult conversations, and nail the high-stake decisions that will impact the future of your company or business. Also, how to stop being the chief firefighter, always in reactive mode, and focus on the strategic activities that will skyrocket your growth, your revenue. And how to do all of this without sacrificing your integrity or relationships and reconnect with a sense of fun and excitement of building something extraordinary. So that's my promise to you. I'm going to help you understand exactly what shifts you need to make to become the leader you need to be so you can build the business or company of your dreams. But before we go further, let me check in and see if any of this resonates with you. Are you working as hard as you can on 1,000 different things, but you always feel behind? Like if you don't keep the pedal to the metal, the whole thing will collapse. Is every day an emotional roller coaster with you feeling out of control, impatient, not good enough? Do you spend your days in meeting overload, putting out fires, constantly distracted, and then beat yourself up for not getting to the real strategic work you're supposed to be doing? Is your team driving you crazy, constantly arguing with each other, or not communicating with each other at all, not sharing information, not taking ownership? Do you wish they would just focus on the mission and do what you need them to do? Are there people on your team who aren't achieving their potential and you can't figure out how to help them, no matter how many books you read? And do you feel like your best thinking got you here and you just don't know what else to try? And the big question, are you secretly afraid you don't have what it takes to build a company, to make your dream a reality? That any minute now people are going to find out that you really don't know what you're doing. Well, if that's the case, I have good news for you. None of these are the real problem. The real problem is that you haven't made the shifts. And I'm going to go into each of them during this presentation. But for right now, understand this. Once you make these shifts, you will have a new sense of confidence in your ability to figure things out, to navigate the minefields of fast growth and chaos, to take a step back from your emotional reactions, and instead operate from a place of calm understanding. Your team will feel like this powerful extension of you, with everyone rowing in the same direction, passionate, accountable, and delivering exceptional results, so that you can focus on what's most important. And you'll be consistently hitting your product development and customer milestones. You'll have a sense of knowing that you're on the path to sustainable growth. You'll also have access to incredible talent, eager to work for you, even if you're not a household name. You'll be able to access your true power and create a healthy dynamic with your investors, your board, your leadership team. And you'll do all of this while leaving behind the relentless grind and starting to enjoy the ride, knowing that you're building something great. So let me take a few seconds to tell you who I am and why you might want to listen to me. I am an executive coach. I've worked with well over 1,000 high performers in 40 countries, including serial entrepreneurs, tech founders, and Fortune 500 execs. I'm known as the woman who trains Navy SEAL candidates in leadership, presence, and resilience. And I started off my career with management and business development roles in .coms and startups. So I know what it's like to work in a chaotic, fast-changing environment. So I specialize in helping my clients create exponential results by elevating their ability to lead under pressure in the volatile, uncertain times we're living in. And I'm also a Juilliard-trained concert pianist and a martial arts black belt. So I know at a very practical level how to train and achieve mastery. And you'll see why that's important a little later in the presentation. So let me tell you how I discovered the 5 shifts. Over the years, as I worked with these 1,000 clients across different sectors, I could see very clearly that the conventional approach to leadership and high performance was not going to lead to success in a world that is increasingly VUCA, that is volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So I studied the mindsets of the best leaders and teams, what they were doing that others weren't. I interviewed dozens of experts in human performance and leadership, like Simon Sinek, Daniel Pink, and former Navy SEAL Mark Divine. And I researched the latest in neuroscience, quantum thinking, and human psychology. And I put it all together in a systematic training approach that I shared with my clients. And they started getting incredible results. So again, there are 5 key shifts that you must make to level up as a leader so you can create a loyal team of A+ players and build the business of your dreams on your terms. And I'm going to walk you through all 5 of them on this session. The first and most fundamental shift is to get out of survival mode. Now, our brain's number one priority is survival. It's programmed to always be scanning the environment for potential threats. But even though we don't have to worry about physical survival on a daily basis, we have plenty to eat, nothing is trying to eat us, our brain hasn't fully adapted to the realities of modern life. At a primal level, it's still wired to look for threats. And so it perceives threats in our interpersonal and social environment. So you have the usual high-level stressors associated with growing a business, product market fit, hiring, revenue growth, competition. But then there are also the thousands of micro stressors. You see the VPs arguing, people not turning on their video on Zoom, complaining because they don't get free food anymore. I call them stealth triggers because often they're subtle. You may not think they're a big deal, but these threats to your status or autonomy or this sense that you're constantly running out of time are still triggering fight or flight reactions in your body. And studies show that even though these minor annoyances only raise your stress levels some 15%, over time, the sheer volume and cumulative effect takes a toll on your body and puts you in survival mode. So I know as a leader, you have a high tolerance for stress, and it's helped you get where you are. But being chronically in survival mode dramatically impacts your cognitive functioning. First of all, it causes you to overfocus on perceived threats. That's why you're easily distracted or you overreact, become aggressive, defensive, getting caught up in petty arguments. Second, it impairs your analytical thinking, creative ability, and problem-solving capabilities. And third, cortisol, the stress hormone, lowers testosterone, which is the approach hormone which helps you to see opportunity, not threats, and move into action instead of holding back in fear and indecisiveness. And these are the very cognitive capabilities you most need to succeed. So why would you tolerate being in survival mode? Well, there are a couple of reasons. The most obvious is you know that you have unhealthy levels of stress, but you think that's just the price to pay for success and you don't know what to change. Maybe you think you perform better under pressure and that you need the rush of adrenaline to get things done. That's the catch-22. One of my clients said he needed pressure to kick into high gear, otherwise he would procrastinate and avoid hard tasks. But even though he rated his general stress level as a 4 out of 10, he had issues with his health. He was grinding his teeth, had acid reflux, and suffered from insomnia. So his body was showing the effects of stress, but psychologically, he wasn't getting the perceived benefits. Finally, you may not even realize how high your stress level is because it's been your normal state of operation for so long. So, if you get this wrong and continue to operate in survival, you'll always be behind, reacting to what's happening around you. You'll be driven by ego and see everything as a potential threat and take things personally. You won't want to give up control, so you'll micromanage and try to be involved in every decision. This will annoy your A players, who will feel like their energy and initiative are being wasted, and they'll lose faith in your ability to lead and withhold their best effort. Everyone will be focused on protecting themselves, and it'll create a culture of blame, politics that will lead to churn, and create friction that will slow you down. Any of that sound familiar? But if you get this right and you shift out of survival mode, you'll be operating at a completely different level with a sense of calm and ease. You'll be able to separate signal from noise. You'll be ahead of the curve, see things other people don't see, understand why people do what they do so you can respond instead of react. And just like an Olympic athlete who trains to lift heavier or run faster, you'll develop greater capacity under pressure. So even when you're facing challenges, your competitor raises money, you lose a big customer, the market shifts, you can stay grounded. And your team will be ready to give a heroic effort because they trust you, because they know you will do the best you can for them. And they'll step up, take ownership, and have your back. Does this make sense? Here's the thing. Your company may be in survival mode, but you don't have to be. Let me tell you about my client, Ryan, who was the main project lead in scaling a telecom business from $0 to $300 million. When we first started working together, he was in survival mode, reactive, transactional. He told me he avoided asking for help. He was hesitant to speak up in meetings, to dive into highly technical or emotional conversations. But within weeks of working together, he was showing up differently, with a bias for action. He developed a reputation for not being afraid to ask the hard questions and speak up about hard topics. He turned around a dysfunctional team in 90 days, tripled team output, and a colleague who had more domain expertise told him that he was able to do something in 2 days that would normally have taken him months. People are often telling him how he inspires them, including his boss, who says he raised his game as a result of seeing how Ryan does his job. And executives are often saying they wish they could clone Ryan. So here's what Ryan says. Not being in survival mode has enabled me to experience so much exponential growth and contribution. I have more real-time awareness of my emotions, which helps me manage my ego. I'm leading team members from California and Dublin right now, and we'll be onboarding a team from India in the next few months. There's no way I'd be able to build and lead a global team in survival mode. Now I'm looking forward to doing this. So you may be wondering, well, how do you get out of survival mode? So that brings us to the next shift, which is to evolve faster. Now, to keep our ancestors alive, Mother Nature evolved a brain that routinely tricked them into making 3 mistakes. The first was overestimating threats. The second was underestimating opportunities. And the third was underestimating resources. Now, in modern times, we no longer need to make these mistakes to ensure our survival. And they're actually, in fact, preventing us from evolving into our full potential as humans. So if you want to stay in control and nail the high stakes decisions that will impact the future of your company, you need to override this wiring. So to counteract mistake number 1, you need to master your biology. Get out of autopilot, which is running our lives 95% of the time. So as you go through your day, meetings, presentations, you want to be able to zoom out and anticipate potential fight or flight triggers, both yours and those of people you're interacting with. And if you get this right, you can respond instead of react and neutralize the negative, unproductive behaviors that are slowing you down. To counteract mistake number 2, you need to burn what I call the mental fat, the redundant, unproductive, emotional thinking, which creates the anxiety and self-doubt that keeps you from taking advantage of opportunities. Because positive thinking doesn't work if you're subconsciously feeling negative. So you need to interrupt the emotional loops that suck up your energy and instead make your emotions work for you. And finally, to counteract mistake number 3, you need to flex the mental muscles of emotional intelligence, like active listening, curiosity, vulnerability, empathy. This is what will enable you to create deep trust and alignment with the people around you and bring out their best. And it will be crucial to your success. VC David Greenberg has run the numbers on over 130 investments that his firm made over the last 25 years. And he says one pattern is clear. Founders with high emotional intelligence are more effective leaders and better able to scale their leadership as their companies grow and evolve, which translates into better returns. So I often say founders and entrepreneurs are like the special forces of the business world. Like them, you have to be agile, resourceful. You're often in stealth mode. You have high stakes conversations with people who have very different agendas. So when this member of the Green Berets came to me, he was preparing to go through the rigorous SEER training, which is survival training if you're captured as a prisoner of war. So he was literally going to be in a survival situation, and he wanted to train himself to override his natural fear-based reactions so he could upgrade the quality of his thinking under pressure. So we created a mental training routine to develop resilience for the physical aspects of survival, as well as retraining his default patterns in communication and decision making under pressure. And I'll say more about this in the next shift, but we didn't just talk about what to do, we rehearsed how he would handle politically sensitive scenarios in Africa and Afghanistan. For example, we practiced how if there was a civilian casualty, he could feel empathy with and see the point of view of all the different stakeholders, the parents, the doctor, the mayor of the village, his superiors back in the US. And he passed SEER the first time and was promoted to captain and went on to lead some of the top special operations teams on politically sensitive missions. Now, there's a secret weapon you can use, and you don't have to be in the special forces to use it, to get it. It's a high velocity learning cycle. High velocity learning cycle is the most powerful way to evolve as a leader, to leverage the full potential of your team and accelerate the growth of your business. And it does all these things while you're getting real work done. Think about the old way. You read books, articles, listen to TED Talks, podcasts, you go to meetups, conferences, executive education programs, leadership boot camps, take online courses, watch YouTube videos, you ask people for advice, and maybe you get the information that you need. But this is hit or miss learning. I mean, does this ad hoc approach make sense? You're already busy doing 1,000 things. Now you're taking in more information or advice and trying to put the concepts into action on the fly, and you get feedback which is totally subjective and may or may not be an accurate reflection of what you did. And if you don't get the desired results, you don't know exactly what didn't work and how to course correct. So maybe you give up and say self-help is a waste of time, I'm just not a people person, I'm not a good leader, this is just the way I am. Maybe you decide you have to get better at remembering and invest in fancy memorization techniques. Or maybe you become an infovore and force feed yourself even more books, articles, and courses in the hope that something will click. And it doesn't matter because none of this is efficient and it doesn't create lasting change because you don't actually acquire skills. The skills of communicating with people objectively, creating loyalty in a diverse workforce, and influencing customers and investors. You don't need more information. You need more practice. And I know it feels good to take in new information and learn new concepts. It gives you this sense of hope that things can be different. But there is a huge gap between knowing and doing. You don't develop leadership skills by reading or talking about them. Like I said, I'm a concert pianist with a martial arts black belt, and I've never read books about how to play the piano or spar with someone. Outside the business world, elite performers in every discipline, sports, music, medicine, they get how important practice and training are. But in business, for some reason, people want to be good right away. They don't want to look back at what they've already done or do things that they're not instantly good at. So I get it. When it comes to the soft leadership skills like having empathy in a difficult conversation, it's tricky to know what or how to practice. That's why you need a high velocity learning cycle, a systematic approach so you know exactly what to do and when. Here's the one I use with my clients. Let's say you have to have a difficult conversation with one of your key team members. The first step is to prepare, but not just information and data. You need to prepare for the emotional dynamics, the potential fight or flight triggers, both yours and theirs. And then you need to practice that conversation in a psychologically safe environment where you can experiment with a different approach, maybe screw up, get immediate feedback. And then in the conversation itself, which is like a performance, you have tools that help you stay calm and focused under pressure and manage your emotions if it doesn't go the way you expected. And then finally, most people extract less than 5% of the learning from their experience. So you want to make sure you're getting the most out of your debriefs and compounding your learning every day. So research shows that people learn best when they have to learn. And if they don't apply the new information, they'll forget about 75% of it after just 6 days. So a high velocity learning cycle enables you to focus on deliberate practice and rapid acquisition of the exact situational leadership skills you need. Giving feedback to an underperformer, firing someone you really care about, managing conflict while you're getting real work done. So when you have this, it eliminates the frantic leadership where you're constantly in motion but there's no sense of momentum, where you're constantly fixing problems caused by poor communication. And it creates a virtuous cycle as your team watches you, as they see how you communicate, how you show vulnerability. It gives them the courage to do the same. Let me tell you about my clients, Rocky and Amelia, who are co-founders in a real estate development startup. They were in a make or break situation. They had already had 2 deals under contract that had fallen through, and they were feeling insecure. They thought it was because they were young, they didn't have the track record of their competitors, and so they were focused on gathering more and more information. But I suggested that they focus preparation for their meetings on the interpersonal dynamics. So we mapped out the potential survival triggers for all the key decision makers, and then we came up with strategies to manage the negative emotional patterns and role-played how to handle tough questions and pushback with confidence and conviction. And so in a matter of weeks, they were able to secure $5 million in funding, and they got on the short list for upcoming major development projects. So let's recap. At this point, you know you must use the secret weapon, a high velocity learning cycle, to get out of survival mode and evolve faster, so you can lead a loyal team of A+ players in growing the business or company of your dreams. Now, let's take a look at how you can do all of that on your own terms without having to be a chest thumper or pretend to be someone you're not. So shift number 4 is about owning your authentic self. And as a founder or builder, you're valued for your innovative ideas and unique vision of the world. But at the same time, all the hype and expectations around what it means to be successful can create a kind of cookie cutter approach where if you don't market like this, hire like this, grow like this, then you'll fail. And it sets you up for imposter syndrome, where deep down you're afraid you're not as bright or capable as others seem to think you are, and you live with a constant fear of being exposed as a fraud. It also sets up the trap of the sucker's choice, the belief that you can either win or play the game honorably, but not both, or the belief that you have to run your people into the ground or you won't be successful. And so you feel like you have to hide parts of yourself and your true feelings from the world if you don't fit the mold. So what happens when you believe that achieving your goal means sacrificing your personal values? Well, you fall into the trap of people pleasing, trying to keep up appearances and feeling like a fraud. You commit these small hypocrisies like not being completely honest with a potential investor or overpromising a customer while hoping engineering can pull off a miracle. You evaluate situations in terms of outcome or perception. Will I succeed or fail? Will I look smart or dumb? You make excuses or blame others for failure, or take it personally and say, I am a failure. You fight the problem, which is your own perceived weaknesses. You become your own survival threat. So you attack yourself, judge yourself, beat yourself up for not being perfect. And that will eventually lead to burnout, isolation, and affect your mental health. And in fact, studies have shown it's possible to build a great company and treat people the right way. So becoming a great leader is not about changing who you are or your values. It's about becoming more of who you are. Because people don't want perfection. They want authentic leaders, someone they can relate to, someone they can trust. And so when you learn how to show up powerfully as your authentic self, to own your emotions and insecurities, to be vulnerable and ask for help, you will be a magnet for the right kind of people. And you'll be able to focus on improving, not proving. and you'll get back all the energy you put into trying to hide parts of yourself and experience a sense of peace, freedom, and invincibility, and you'll realize just how much you're capable of. So let me tell you about Melvin, my client in global sales, who was struggling to hit his $20 million growth target and dealing with a hostile team with a bad attitude. So he was putting on a front of knowing everything. He was obsessively spending time memorizing information, trying to make sure he knew everything, but he wasn't really connecting with the people around him. So I helped him adapt his leadership and communication style, changing the way he interacted with his team so he could show some vulnerability and get them on his side. And here's what happened. He sent me an email saying that he had spent a significant amount of time working closely with two individuals who had been pretty tough critics of his over the last year. And to his surprise, they remained solid teammates through the entire presentation and even after the fact. And he could see that there was finally some respect and support being given to him. So in less than 8 weeks, he was able to turn his team into allies. He secured 2 multi-million-dollar deals, and he regained the confidence of investors who called him a badass. That brings us to our final shift, which is to invest in leadership coaching and a powerful tribe. Noah Wasserman, who's a Harvard entrepreneurship professor, says that 65% of startups that fail do so because of ineffective management by the founders. So people problems, not product or marketing problems. And as we all know, people don't leave jobs, they leave bad bosses. So to optimize your people, you need to optimize yourself first. And you, like everyone, have blind spots in your interactions with people, and it's hard to figure out on your own how to change your automatic emotional patterns and create more effective ways to influence and inspire others. And it takes a lot of time and trial and error, and it's nearly impossible to both perform a task and measure your progress at the same time. Every leader I speak with talks about how isolated they feel. You can't really talk about your fears and doubts with your team, your co-founders, your investors. They're looking to you to have the answers. And if you express some of these doubts to them, they won't know how to react, or they might wonder about your ability to lead. So this is why every leader should have a coach and a tribe of like-minded visionaries. A coach draws out deep insights and distinctions, raises the bar for what's possible, and reminds you of your greatness. They help you find small but powerful ways to improve and hold you accountable. A tribe brings shared perspectives and supports you through the emotional roller coaster when you feel like giving up. Because this journey is not just about information, it's about transformation. Here's how it works. So your mindset is all your beliefs about the world, what's possible, what's not possible, and that determines the actions you take, your communication, behaviors, decisions, and that of course creates your results. So if you want different results, it starts with your mindset, and it's not something you can just do on the fly. Those beliefs and emotional patterns are deeply ingrained, and they're mostly subconscious. So if you're not getting the results that you want, you need a training ground and a feedback loop so you can test different behaviors and try different approaches. I know what it's like to try to figure things out on my own, going in circles and wasting time, money, and energy. And every time I've invested in personal coaching and mentoring, which is almost over $75,000 at this point, I've gained speed and made back my investment many times over. So investing in coaching, it's about enlisting support so you can activate your full capabilities, get out of your own way, and become the greatest version of yourself. It's investing in speed so you can navigate challenges more skillfully, leverage time and resources better, avoid those unnecessary mistakes. I mean, how much does it cost to replace a senior employee, to lose that rock star hire, to miss a major milestone or get caught up in petty conflict? Not to mention the mental energy of frustration, worry, anger, resentment. So my advice is to find a coach who inspires you and spend what it takes to train with them and their tribe. All right, so today I promised I would share how to be that extraordinary leader who attracts and retains the best talent, even if you can't pay top dollar. What it takes to build respect and extreme ownership into the fabric of your team so they become a tribe of A+ performers who will walk through fire for you, and the key to developing authentic influence and bulletproof confidence so you can succeed in a leadership position and scale faster than you thought possible. I also shared with you the 3 mistakes you must stop making so you can master your emotions, navigate difficult conversations, and nail the high stakes decisions that will impact the future of your company. How to stop being the chief firefighter, always in reactive mode, and focus on the strategic activities that will skyrocket your revenue, and how to do all of this without sacrificing your integrity or relationships while you reconnect with that sense of fun and excitement you had in the beginning. So these are the 5 shifts to get out of survival mode, evolve faster, use the secret weapon, a high velocity learning cycle, own your authentic self, and invest in leadership coaching and a powerful tribe. These 5 shifts alone will enable you to 10x your leadership and growth. Now you have a choice. You can either take the information and ideas I've shared with you and forget all about it. You can read more books and articles about the latest leadership techniques and trends. You can keep on feeling frustrated, struggling to get your team to do what you need them to do, falling further and further behind the competition. Or if you're done with the struggle and you really want to activate your full potential, to have the kind of influence and results that you know are possible, to walk in and command any room and be able to energize people with your clarity and confidence. And not only that, to be operating in high gear and have laser focus and energy that lasts all day. If that's what you want, then here's what I have for you. I've set aside some time in the next 48 hours to speak to you about how you can apply the 5 shifts to level up your leadership immediately. During this breakthrough session, we'll pinpoint your blind spots and create a 5-part game plan to level up your leadership so you can build your dream team and execute on your growth strategy. And there's no cost for this, but it's not for everyone. If you're looking for a quick fix or not open to changing how you operate, this is not for you. If you're focused on your exit strategy and cashing out at all costs, this is not for you. You must be building something that solves a major problem and will have a positive impact on your employees, customers, investors, and ultimately on the world. You must be passionate and committed to your vision. You must be coming from a place of service and hold yourself to the highest standards of integrity. If that's you, then please book a session now. And if you're wondering why I'm doing this, it's because I'm passionate about helping trailblazing leaders create teams that impact the world. And I know that some of you might want my help to level up your leadership. And if so, we can discuss it and see if it's a good fit. And if not, that's perfect too. So if you're ready to schedule a call, you can go to renitacalhorn.com/call. And I want to thank you for showing up today and allowing me to share this information with you. There's one other thing I want to share with you before we take off. These are a few words from my client who had an impressive track record in growing businesses, but she was stuck and her confidence had taken a dive. She says, I am truly grateful for the opportunity to learn from everyone in this group. I'm humbled by the shared vulnerability and find myself growing simply by looking at life through a different lens. My journey began with a focus on mastering my emotions and regaining my confidence as a leader. However, I'm finding that this is only the tip of the iceberg, as every interaction that I have within this group has me walking away with so much more.